read a total of 16 books during the month of April, and honestly I feel like I could have read more, but I started reading A Little Life towards the end of the month during like the last week, and that book, I just have had the hardest time like really getting into it, so it kind of took up a lot of my time. I'm still reading through it, but this is what I read. I'm going to go through all of these books and give the ratings. You guys can make sure to follow me on Goodreads if you guys want to get like updated ratings throughout the month. I pretty much update my Goodreads like the minute that I finish a book or like the day after, so I'm like pretty good about it. So let's get into all these books, and I hope you guys enjoy. Don't mind my bookshelves behind me, they literally are terrible, but I'm gonna be like fixing them in the next vlog. I need to organize them because I recently did a huge haul from Amazon with so many books, like 40 plus books, and I just like have not gotten around to it. So the first book that I finished in the month of April is The Final Offer, and this feels like it was forever ago, but I rated this 4 out of 5 stars. I really love this book because honestly the whole series was incredible, but I feel like this one was honestly my least favorite out of all of them, but it was still 4 stars. And I say least favorite just because I felt like Callahan was a little like immature in comparison to the other 2 brothers, but I still absolutely love the series. It was a really, really good series altogether. This series is called the Dreamland Billionaire series, and the grandfather of the 3 brothers pretty much tells each of them that they have to like finish something specific to get their portion of the inheritance. And in this book, Callahan had to sell this like old mansion that they had, but his ex-girlfriend owned a portion of the mansion as well, and so they had to like connect, and it was kind of like a second chance romance, which was really beautiful. The next book that I read was Not So Perfect Strangers by L.S. Stratton, and the other book was by Lauren Asher, by the way. This book was so good. I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really liked it because, for one, it was written by a Black author, and I think the storyline in this thriller is so different than anything that I've ever read because it really deals with the fact that a lot of Black men and women can't really trust like the government or authority in a lot of different ways, and they're not typically seen in the same way as a lot of like white people or people of different ethnicities. Like they might not be seen as a victim even if they are, and so the whole book you're kind of like not really sure what's gonna happen, but it just leaves you on the edge of your seat the entire time, and it kind of gives you that like Get Out feel. Like, remember the movie Get Out and Us? It kind of, and Nope. It kind of gives you that like feel where it's like, I don't know, you're very, very on the edge of your seat, and I love this book. The next book that I read is one that made me cry, and I think the only book that made me cry all month, and it is Magnolia Parks, and I rated this 4.5 stars. I love this book. This is written like a reality TV series, and if you are someone who really likes reality TV, I feel like you'll really like this book. And it also is written kind of like Gossip Girl almost, and they're just like the elite. I also love that Magnolia was a woman of color. I thought that was super cool. It was just such a good book, and I ate it freaking up. The couples in this are so toxic, so definitely go into this book knowing that you're literally reading a toxic romance and love story, and just look at it as entertainment. And I feel like it's very rare that you see romances like this where you're kind of just like reading for entertainment and not necessarily for the love story, where, I mean, still, I don't know, I don't stand the love story, but like, I don't know, it's toxic, but I also love them together. So I said it, okay? I said it. Anyway, I probably will think differently as the series goes on, but it was so good. The next book that I read was We Were Liars. Oh, and that book is by Dessa Hastings, by the way. I read We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. Rated this 1 out of 5. I was just super bored the whole book. Honestly, I barely remember what it was about. I think like a family, they take vacation to their like home, their private home in private island in Massachusetts, and I had a really hard time being very like sympathetic and empathetic to a family of like literal billionaires. It just felt very weird to me that like the problems that they were struggling over in this book were pretty much that the family couldn't agree on who would get like the inheritance after the grandfather passed away, and they're all like trying to vie for his attention, and it just gave me the ick. So I don't know, the whole story just wasn't really obsessed with it. I didn't DNF it, but I've never DNF'd a book, but this was very close to being DNF'd. Thankfully it was a short book, which was nice, and then the ending had kind of a little twist, which was also nice. Then I read The Dead Romantics and We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. Read The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. This book I rated 3 out of 5. I think I rated this 3 out of 5 because I really did like the love story, but it has a paranormal vibe to this book, and I don't really like paranormal books like at all. So if you're someone who likes paranormal books, this is really good. I probably would have rated it a lot higher if I actually like paranormal books, but it just felt weird to be like falling in love with like a dead person. Like, I don't know, it just was weird to me. But the storyline itself, like in the love story, was really cute, so I rated it 3 out of 5. Then I read Wait For You, by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Rated this a 4 out of 5, and I actually already bought the rest of the series. This book is so good, like so good. It is set in a college setting, and I feel like this author does not get enough like hype, probably because the old covers of this book have like, I don't know, weird pictures and stuff. Like, I like the new cover, but hopefully this author starts to get more hype now that she has new covers on her books. But this is about Cameron and Avery kind of has like secrets and some things that she needs to like work through, and Avery's like so patient with her, and he keeps like asking her out, and she's like, I don't know. She like definitely likes him, but she just doesn't like want to trust a guy, and so he like comes over and makes her breakfast, and he just like does all these things to really like build a friendship with her. So this is definitely friends to lovers, but it's a more accelerated friendship, like they weren't friends their whole lives or anything, and it just was really cute. So I rated this a 4 out of 5, and I can see myself rating the other books even higher because I'm already obsessed with this couple. The next book that I read was The Poet X, and this was by Elizabeth Acevedo, and I actually read 2 books by this author this month. I rated this a 3 out of 5. I do think that I would have liked this book a lot more if I was really into poetry, which poetry is like, I don't know, neither here nor there for me. I'm not like obsessed with it, but I did really like the coming of age story in this, and I also liked how this really focused on like her growth as a character, and you could see by the end of the book that she'd grown a lot. And yeah, it was very beautifully written, very lyrical. If you like poetry, you will love this book. But for me, poetry is just so, and that's why I gave it a 3 out of 5. And again, my ratings, the way I rate books are pretty much like, 1, I didn't like it. Like, I'm not going to recommend it. Don't read it. This book sucks. 2 is kind of like, I didn't like it, but I wouldn't necessarily not recommend it, like maybe somebody would like it. A 3 is like, it was average. Like, I enjoyed it, it was great, but like, I don't know if I'd like write home about it and be like, this book's amazing. Like, it's just kind of like an average book, which I feel like most books are average. Sometimes I feel like when people rate books, I'm like, did you really like love every single book? And maybe you did, but like, to me, the reason why there are 4 and 5s for books is because of the 1, 2s, and 3s, you know? Like, when you get a great book, you kind of can compare it to the terrible one, so it like makes you love it even more. And then the 4s are like, love it, so good, like obsessed. I'm definitely like sharing this book, telling everyone about it, it's so good, amazing, whatever. And then 5 is like, I'm reading this book over again. I got a feeling in my chest that like makes me realize I'm never gonna forget this book. I'm always gonna remember it. Like, years later down the line, I'm gonna think back on this book and when I read it. I'm gonna recommend it to everybody. That's 5-star for me. So anyway, I don't have very many 5 stars, but I do have some 4.5s, especially in this little like wrap up. The next book that I read is called Dear Amelia, and I rated this a 3.5 out of 5. I really think that I would have loved this book a lot more if it wasn't like a novella. This book was so short. It was literally 154 pages, and I feel like I just didn't get, this is gonna sound so weird, but I didn't get enough like of a climax, if that makes sense. Like, you know, usually in a book, like it kind of climaxes to a point where it's like something crazy happens and then like something bad happens and something crazy happens and it like mellows out. This book was a little too mellow. Like everything was so perfect, and I think it's because they wanted you to fall in love with the characters, which I did. Like I love them, but it just, like, they were friends to lovers, and the whole book is pretty much about them realizing that they have feelings for each other and they've been friends forever. But there was really nothing that was like, I don't know. I loved it. I just wanted more from this book. It definitely was not long enough for me, but I am going to be buying more of the series because I fell in love with both of these characters in 154 pages. And again, it was rated 3.5, which is so high for a book that's this tiny. I loved friends to lovers stories. That's like one of my favorite genres, and this one was really good. And then the next book that I read, which I still think about this book, and part of me is like, maybe I should have rated it a 5, but I think what's keeping me from rating this a 5 is because I don't think I will ever read this again. And that for me is the criteria for a 5-star read. Like I have to want to read it again. And a lot of the time when I have a 5-star read, I want to read the book immediately after I finish it, just to like gobble it up some more. And I didn't get that feeling, but this was close, and I rated it a 4.5, but honestly, if I was on a different scale, I would have probably like rated a 4.8 or something, but I just used 4.5 because I feel like getting into like 4.75, 4.8, that's like, I don't know, it's too much. So I just do like 3, 3.5, 4. It's easier for me to remember, and it's easier for me to rate because books aren't like all over the place with the ratings. But this book was so good, and I think it's because, oh, by the way, Dear Amelia was by Asia Monique. I don't think I said that, but this book is by Taylor Jenkins Reid, called Carrie Soto's Back. I really didn't think that I was going to be obsessed with this book. I actually started this book on an audiobook, and I usually start books on audiobook if I'm not sure if I'm going to be obsessed with it, because I have the hardest time starting books. And then if I like start to really love the book, I will switch to like reading an audiobook, and then also like reading the physical book, and then also listening to the audiobook, and kind of like tandem do those things. But this was like, no, like I had to immediately switch from the audiobook to only reading. Like I could not listen and read at the same time because I knew this book was going to be so good. I feel like if you are 1, competitive, if you 2, play sports, or 3, if you're like an entrepreneur or like very like driven, career driven, or just driven in like some capacity, you will like this book, because the whole book is around her pretty much making sure that no one takes her title as the like best tennis player. So the whole time she's working so hard, and I don't think you have to love sports to write like this book. I love sports, but I don't like really watch sports like for real, and I love this book, but it's because like all you feel is her determination, and you can literally like feel how much she wants to like make sure she keeps that title. It's so good. And then the next book I read after that was The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams, and I actually heard from one of you guys that she has a book coming out, I think tomorrow. This book was okay. I rated it 3 out of 5. I would recommend it. It was good, but nothing I'd obsess over. It's about 2 friends, and it's like a friends to lovers story, which you guys know I love friends to lovers. So like if I am not obsessed with it, it's like that's saying something. But it was just okay. I feel like this would have been better in a movie, honestly. You know how sometimes you'll read a book and you'll be like, that would be cute as a movie, but like I'm just getting kind of bored reading it. It was kind of like that. Pretty much they have to fake date in this book, and they're friends, but both of them have feelings for each other, and they haven't like told each other. And they have to fake date because pretty much it's like good for his like PR. I think he's like in the NFL or something. It was alright. It was good. It wasn't bad. It was just like, I definitely recommend it, but I wouldn't say it was like the most pivotal book I've ever read. Probably that has to do something with reading it right after Carrie Soto's Back. The next book I read is Reggie and Delilah's You're Falling. Rated this a 4 out of 5. So freaking cute. I love this book, and it's like premised around them pretty much connecting every holiday, like all these random holidays throughout the year. They always end up like finding each other or being in the same place and connecting, and it was just, it made my heart like really fluttery. And I feel like this is a really easy read. So if you're someone who maybe reads thrillers or like really heavy books and you want like a light read, this is a good one for that. It's just really cute, and I think it's like YA, but it was hitting on some deeper topics, but nothing too heavy, but deep enough where you're like, oh, okay, wow, like it has some depth to it. Really liked it. After that, I read The Summer of Broken Rules. This book I rated 2 out of 5. This is by K.L. Walther. The other book that I read is by Elise Bryant, The Reggie and Delilah's You're Falling. This book I did not like because the whole book is about them going to play assassins at like their summer home, and they go every year with family. And I feel like if they had focused more on the characters in the book and less on them playing assassins, I would have liked it more. But they literally talked about them playing assassins so much, and I got so bored because assassins is fun, but it's not like that great, you know? So I rated that 2 out of 5. This book, Flow, rated this 4 out of 5. And this is another novella that is like very short. It's by Kennedy Ryan. This is, I thought this was 200 pages. It's not even that. It's literally 113 pages. Loved it. Ate it up. I bought 2 of the other books already. I'm hooked, and it kind of leaves you on a little hook. Not a cliffhanger, but it leaves you on a hook where you want to like keep reading more, and it is really good. It's about pretty much an artist who's like trying to make it, and then I can't even really, it's hard to explain, but it's very good. There's definitely like a really cute love story in it. There's a lot of like deep stuff in it. I don't know how Kennedy Ryan did it, like how Kennedy Ryan does it, and how she can make there be so much depth in a book that's literally 113 pages. I don't know. It was great. Loved it. Read this book. Like, read it today. It's so easy to read. And then I read Archer's Voice, which I rated this 4.5 out of 5 stars. Love this book. Oh, I did cry on this book too. Like, I shed a couple tears, I think. So I cried on 2 books, or maybe I didn't cry. I can't remember. I know for sure I cried on Magnolia Parks because that book was just wild. I really love this book because it gave me like a really cozy feeling. I don't even know how to explain that. You know how there's just some books that just feel like they might be a comfort read or something? This gave me that. Even though there were a lot of like hard topics and things in this, it still was just so sweet. The love story was sweet. Archer is just like one of the soft boys who is just like the sweetest, most caring like person ever, and I just love that in men in books. This was very cute. Then I read Untying the Knot by Megan Quinn, also Archer's Voice is by Mia Sheridan. And this book, I really love this book. I rated it 3.5 out of 5. I really love this book, but the spice was just over the top for me. And I know Megan Quinn does typically have a lot of spice in her books, but it just was a little much, and I feel like I would have liked this book a lot more if there wasn't so much spice. Also, towards the end, it kind of fell a little flat because, not like flat, but just, it wasn't as exciting because the whole book is pretty much about how Riot, he swooned and like made this woman fall in love with him. Not made, I guess. They fell in love with each other, and then he pretty much ends up like not being the best husband, and she ends up wanting a divorce, so he has to like work to get her love back. And so I can't even explain it, but like there's all this stuff that they do because they're living together, but he's like, hey, can we just like pretend like we're still gonna be married because I have to go to this wedding, and I just don't want to have to like tell my friends that we're like getting a divorce. And he's pretty much doing that because he wants to get a longer like amount of time to be married to her to try to win her back. And the whole time he's like doing these things to try to win her back, and it's just really cute. And then towards the end there's just like a lot of like, you know, they're sharing their feelings and less like action of things that are happening, but it still was really good. Just a little too much spice for me. It's also a super thick book. Then I read With the Fire on High, which this is another one by Elizabeth Acevedo. I don't know how to say her name, but she wrote The Poet X. Rated this 3 out of 5. Another good book that I feel like is good to read, but I wasn't like obsessed with it. I did enjoy it, but it just, again, wasn't like anything to write home about. And that's all the books that I read. I am right now reading 3 books, and I read a lot of books at one time because I just like to like flip-flop between them. Like I said, I'm reading A Little Life, and I'm just kind of not in the mood for that, so I'm reading another book, and then if I'm not in the mood for the other book, I'll read another book, and just kind of flip-flop. So yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys!